Okay, FNB gang. I hope you guys are right. Let's get into it. Let's open our VS Code. Today we are going to be checking out the assignment, which is the superhero app, the Avengers app. All right. So just go to File, open your folder, go to your FNB app, open the week 2 folder, and make sure that it's empty like this and only has the images that you downloaded from the emails, right? So that way we have our 6 images of the Avengers. Perfect. Then we start from this way, from here. So if you have it set up like this, you can just double click on this if you want to create an app. Here, file. So we start with index.html, right? And what we're going to do is just have an exclamation mark, which is going to bring about the emmet abbreviation, which is essentially code that is triggered by one line of like a word or like a phrase or something. So it's more like an autofill or like an auto suggester that you find on your WhatsApp, roughly. But this is for VS Code, and it generates your code, right? So I'm going to press tab to accept this. Then we have our boilerplate, which is essentially pre-made code that you can use by coding it up like that. All right. So the first thing I want to do here is change U and say FN like Avengers. Let me say Avengers. It's more adventurous. Let's say Avengers and press save. Then now what we do, we open our live server, and what do we see here? On our app is like our page is now called Avengers, right? So what I want to do here, just some general housekeeping, is to link my CSS, right? Let me link my CSS here. So I'm pressing tab, guys. If you see my code just like looking like it's being generated, I'm pressing tab because I'm accepting. I know what I need here. So sometimes when it's suggesting code, look at it in the same way. When you're typing on WhatsApp and you're typing to someone, you actually see, you check whether this works for you. If it does, you just tap. Same thing, right? So what I want to talk about, let me just minimize you and go to the body. What I want to talk about here is the structure of how our website is going to be, because you guys need to remember that we don't make websites for just one type of person. We make websites for everyone. So you need to think about accessibility. What is accessibility? Is the ability for your website to be accessed by everyone, despite whether they're disabled or not. And search engines are configured in a sense where they do reward you if your website is accessible to a lot of people, because it's that means more users on their side. So they're trying to include everyone in this so that people can be using the internet, because there are blind people that use the internet. So you need to write your code in a certain way that's friendly to these technologies that maybe blind people use, and that allows them to actually have the full experience of your website even though they cannot see it. Okay. So essentially what we are going to do, we're going to break our body into 3 parts. Okay. We're going to break it into a header, right? Number one, going to break it into a header. Then we are going to break it into the main, right? And then we are going to break it into a footer. All right. So in this case, now that we've done everything and we've put it like this is how we're going to do it, right? What is in the header? In the header, what we have, and I just have the site pulled up so I can give you as an example. Our header is essentially, our nav bar. All right. What is our nav bar? It's all this whole bar, right? That has the links and everything. So that's our nav bar. And our hero section. Our hero section is the part where it is the part of the website which gives you a message and a call to action. The message says kickstart your coding journey with FNB App Academy. Then there's a call to action to say stream App Academy to start your coding journey. You see that, stream FNB App Academy. So if you are interested in this and this caught your attention, you'd probably want to click here, and then it takes you to where you need to be. That's a call to action. All right. So the nav bar and the hero section are usually under the header. In the main is everything in between. But there's something cool I want to show you about the footer. I don't think they actually do show you guys, but I want to, a lot of people don't talk about it much, right? So on my side here, right? Let's see. Yes, that is correct. Don't be surprised when you see this, right? This is what a footer looks like, part of it. But this, remember, has no CSS or no nothing. But if you on the FNB app, if you go down here, this is what it does. Your home, what, and that copyright thing at the bottom. So in this case, this copyright thing would actually be down here, right? Just to drive my point home. So it would be like this. So the the footer is essentially all this that I've highlighted. This is the footer. So the header and the footer usually have the same theme, and they tend to have the same theme in a sense. So you see how everything goes, how it looks, pretty much. Hero section sometimes is not included in the header sometimes, but most of the time it is. All right. So pretty much, then in the main, right? In the main, what we have is all the other content in between. So let me just get rid of this, and you as well. All right. So got our main. And we've got our header. All right. So now I'd like to start with the I'd like to start with something I can visually see. Like that's visual. I'm a visual person. So what I want to do, I want to start with my nav bar. That way, and then everything else we can build. So I want my nav bar to be black. I want the text inside of it to be white. And I want to remove all the bullet points that will come out and the lines, the default lines that come out of it. And I want my nav content to be on this side. My navigation section to be on this side. So what do we do here? We go in here and we say nav, right? And close. What is this? This is navigation element. All right, a navigation element that that tells us, okay, here this is the navigation. And remember, those technologies will be able to tell that this is a nav bar because yeah, you get that. So with anything that has navigation or on like which is in the header, it's always an ordered list. Even though on the footer, when we're doing those links are usually unordered list. Okay, so this unordered list is here, and the unordered list is going to say for you to be inside of me, you need a certain qualification or need a characteristic, right? So you need to be a list in the first place, right? And as a list, we want it to be clickable, so you have to have an anchor. An anchor would be href. I do speak about anchors in my TikTok channel, so you should check that if you get confused. So href, right? And what are we referring to here? What are we which file are we referring to? I want this to be my home file, right? So I'm going to say index.html, right? Which is an actual file, which is right here. It's going to do that, right? And index.html file. And it's going to auto close for me there. And I will say home. Okay. Press next. It'll automatically think, okay, fine, Frank, you want your index HTML to be a home. How about your about page? Do you want it to be about.html? I'm like, yes. Right? And then next, do you want characters.html? Because it's talking about Avengers, so it was able to check, But I'll be like, no, not characters. But let me just continue and say li, close this, and then open a anchor, right? Where is our anchor? We're referring our anchor to right, to contact .html. All right. And we close you and say contact. Right? I think that should be okay. 3 is enough as expected because they said they want the home, about, and contact. Right? So you see here under here it will start under the nav it will start wanting to create maybe a hero section or something like that. But for now I'm cool. So we have that. All right. So we have an index, about, HTML, and everything. Right. Cool. And remember, our CSS is linked right here. So what we do right now is, if we go to our page, let me just save this quickly, and we go to our page. What do we have? We have this ugly looking bullets. I don't want them. We have this underline. I don't want it. I want my words to be white and with a black background. So let's get into that. All right. So let's create a CSS. And always remember that whatever you put on href should be exactly the same with what you got there. Style.css, style.css on href. Fine. It's going to work. All right. So here, rule of thumb, always make sure, if you don't want some weird white patches, right, just coming out of nowhere, because some browsers by default have their own strange settings, so that can change the outlook of your page. So to avoid that, just say margin, put a star there, and say margin 0, right? Margin 0, and should be padding at 0, and just leave it like that, right? So now we are affecting our actual page, but just have that just to not have problems. So I'm going to try and show you the selection hierarchy, right? We are going to start with nav, right? Nav section is the one that houses our UL and our list and our, because remember the elements I'm counting here. We have nav, which is the main, okay, we have, the header, which is the main element, but we don't want to do something to this that's going to affect everything inside there, right? So we have the nav, which is affecting the UL, which is affecting the list, and also affecting the anchor. So how many elements do we have under nav? We have UL 1, we have list 2, and we have anchor, which is 3, right? So let's start with a hierarchy. Is going to be nav first, right? So nav under CSS is going to have a background color of black. Therefore, everything under nav is going to be black, or going to have a background of black. So meaning the unordered list is going to have a black background. The list is going to have a black background. The anchors going to have a black background, right? So that should be enough for now. Now going forward, do you notice that I'm going to say nav still, but I'm going to say yes, I'm affecting nav, but I'm going according to hierarchy, right? The child of nav is going to be an ordered list, right? So now we are referring to an ordered list. I think it's more of like, you see that thing where people say, what's your surname? And you're like, my surname is what, I'm the son of, right? It's more something along those lines, So in a sense, nav is the parent, UL is the firstborn, right? So now we're affecting everything under UL. So if we go back to go into HTML, UL, what's under UL? UL is affecting itself, list, and anchors, and the anchor, like the anchors, right? So these two, anchors and list, are going to be affected whenever UL is affected, right? But nav is no longer being affected here. It's UL that's being affected because it's the one that we are now referring to in the last line here. All right. So here, what are we going to do? Essentially, I want to remove the underlined, those underlines, these default underlines, right? So I'll say list style, right? I'll say list style to none. Why is it list style? Because this style can be square, can be circles, because they change the type of bullet points that you have. But here I want to remove them completely. All right. Then after that, I want to change the display, because you have to look at it here. Right now, these things are going down. I don't want, they don't look nice when they're doing that. They have to be aligned. You know, they have to go aligned, flow from left to right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say display. I need to change the display of you, and I need you to be flex, right? Why flex? Right? Flex essentially changes everything into a straight line. Instead of from up to down, it will change it from left to right. Right? So we good. All right. Right? What else? I need, remember, I can't have my home and about on the right side. It has to be on the, no, I can't have it on the left side. It has to be on the right side. So what I'm going to do now is just say justify content. Right? When we're justifying content, we need to say it has to be on the flex end. What is flex end? Flex start is on your left side. Flex end is on your right side. So I want flex end, right? And then when I press save and I go back here, what happens? Yes, we are now here. So there's something I want to talk about, right? Remember, this is the UL, okay? So like this in the UL, it's housing all of that, but it can also, when in as much as it's housing all of that, these things are not breathing. If you really look at it right now, it's like my home about is barely breathing, and my head is so small, right? What you can do is just add, some padding, right? Padding of like 20 pixels, 20 pixels. What that does, and we go back here, it gives our text a sense of space, a sense of being in the middle of the background, the black background. So it's not kissing the edges, it's right sitting right in the middle, of which that is visually appealing. But now I don't like the fact that it's all together like that, right? So that's something we need to change, something we need to change, and we're getting there, right? And because right now I'm looking at my UL in terms of like where it's supposed to be. All right. So now I'm going to have to say nav UL LI. Now I'm affecting my lists. Okay. In my list, I need it to be, in a certain way. I need my list in a certain way, but not necessarily my list. Still on UL, not list. I'll say gap, right? What I want to do here on gap, right? Let's just make it 20 pixels. Why am I doing that? I want to make sure that, in my list, each one is separate, right? So now I'm looking here. Oh, list style was none for the bullet points, right? I still have to remove those underlined. So list was for the bullet points. So I still have to remove the underlines. Where are the underlines? The underlined is a characteristic of an anchor. It's not a characteristic of a UL, which is like an ordered list. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say nav UL LI. Is there anything I want to change on my LI? On my list? Yes, there is things I want to change on my list. Let me see. Remember, my list is everything that's out here, right? But no, there's nothing I want to change on my list. The things I want to change is in this guy here, which is the home about contact. I want to change the color of that. I want to change how this is affected. And I want to change the underlined things here. So on list, I don't change much. All right. On list, I don't change much. So on list, I don't change much. So it'll be list, and I move forward, and then I will select anchor, right? Now on anchor, I know that, okay, that line, remember that line? I need to say text decoration has to be none, right? Text decoration has to be none. And if I save that and I go here, my text decoration is now none, right? You see that? None. There's no line here at the bottom. Okay. So here we are affecting now the text that we're looking at. I want it to be white. So you just say color and white. Perfect. It's like it's listening to me, right? And if we go back here, it's now white. Font size, font size, I do want it to be bigger. I would like it to be bigger so that you can actually see it. This would be nice. This is okay. This is okay. All right. Then what else would I want? Like pretty much I think this is okay. Like this is generally okay. I think I'm happy with just about that, right? And you could choose the font family, whether you wanted Arial or black or anything, Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, let's keep it simple like that. Okay. So we now there, right? So there is this other thing, which is when you're done with all of that, right? You can now choose a hover effect, right? Hover effect is, let me just explain this here. Hover effect. So remember, we're going nav ULLI A. A is the last one that's being affected, and that's how we want it to, And it's actually showing us here how it's being affected. Right now, it's showing this and this and this, and it's showing the specificity, right? And it's the A here that we are affecting. All right. So in this case, you do the same, but you add a hover effect. What a hover effect is, it's how your text it behaves when you hover over it. So I want to select a red color here when I say hover over my my anchor links, right? So when you go here and you hover over it, we get a red. And that's going to go well with the Avengers because the Avengers logo, I think it's red, right? But I think I want a line under it. I do want a line under it. So let me just say, do I want a line under it? No. Maybe I do. Let's say text decoration. Just to, give you something. So now it will have a line, have a line. So you could play around with something here. Like there's something that I saw that was saying, transition. I saw something like that, transition, right? Which could be, a different type of like how it's going to behave. But let me leave that. So let's just keep it simple for now. So, right? We're good. So we built our nav bar. Now what we're going to do after is we're going to start adding the content for the image. We're going to add the images inside here, and we're going to be good. So catch it on the next part because I'm breaking down these videos into, I don't want it to be a whole 2 hours. So just a recap of what we covered. We covered how to go into our code. We understood the hierarchy of how these elements work, right? So in your CSS, whenever you want to affect an element, the last element that shows here is the anchor, right? You cannot just go to the anchor straight. You have to say, give it a path, right? To say nav, ul, li, then anchor, right? It works that way. It doesn't just, you don't just say anchor in one you could, but like, it's best practice, because sometimes you'll have more than one thing that has similar. Let's say you have an anchor somewhere else here. So if you just press A, if you select A only, you're affecting all of the anchors in the page. But if you do it like this, you are affecting a specific one, and that's how it should be. All right. So we learned how to do a background using our nav. We learned how to affect, right, the orientation of whether it's the left or right, and the gaps between the text using our UL, right? Nav UL. And then we learned how to, affect the links itself, the anchor links, right? And to change the text decoration, which is removing the lines, and removing making the color different, and changing the font size. And we learned the hover effect, where if you hover over, you can give it different things, where you can put a square, you can put anything that can actually make it interactive in a sense, like that changes the color. But for me, this one right now is okay, so that you guys don't get too lost. So we just covered that, and we are going to cover the rest of the content in the next video. Cheers.